May we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Paris?
Here.
Commissioner Strickland?
Here.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner Cantu?
Here.
Commissioner Henry? And
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Mayor Derek L. Henry?
Here. Same process?
Yeah, during the CRA meeting, Commissioner Henry explained that she's not feeling well, and you all would need to authorize her to appear remotely based on that.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Reed and Cantu. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the October 4th, 2023 City Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We'll take a motion from Commissioner Strickland and a second from Commissioner May. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. This motion carries 7-0. We'll now have our agenda approval. If there are any changes, our city manager will address them.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we're going to be adding item 8Q, City Manager's Office Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Distribution, Palm Terrace Elementary, $1,000 contribution from Commissioner Paula Reed. Item 10D, the Growth Management and Planning Department, GTI Oak Ridge BR2 rezoning states to rezone 2.2 plus or minus acres, but it should be to rezone 1.22 plus or minus acre parcel. Item 10G, City Manager's Office, City Commission Salary Review Committee. An additional application has been received from David F. Butts. This will be added to the committee applicant pool that you have on the dais. That concludes those changes.
Motion to approve the agenda with the said changes.
We'll take a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Strickland. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 6, which is our presentations. Item 6A is an update on Daytona International Speedway, presented by Frank Keller, DIS President.
It's great to be with you all this evening. Grateful for the time to chat with you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Frank Kelleher. I am the president of Daytona International Speedway, as well as NASCAR's Southeast Properties. I've been in this role 2.5 years. I've been with NASCAR for a total of 20 years. All but 2 of those years, I've called this great community home. So grateful for the opportunity to chat with you all. I'd like to use this time with you all to highlight some extraordinary events and some milestones that have taken place this year just up the road at the World Center of Racing. I'm also going to touch on some very positive aspects of our 2024 event calendar. So let's start with what this year has meant to the sport of NASCAR, which started right here in Daytona Beach. This year, NASCAR has been celebrating its 75th anniversary. This diamond anniversary has provided us an opportunity to reflect on the sport's past, the present, and the future. And while we will crown our 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion at Phoenix Raceway this weekend, I wanted to share a video with you all, which will help demonstrate what has made the 75th season of NASCAR so special.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. This year is extra special as the sport celebrates its diamond 75th anniversary.
Last year, we had 19 different winners of our 36 races. When you went to the racetrack, you didn't know who was gonna win.
First of all, we kick off the season in a stadium, LA Coliseum.
We're going to start off the year now. Let's go! Daytona 500, baby! Let's go, boys! Wow!
75th anniversary of our sport. A lot of legends here. 75 greatest drivers in NASCAR's history.
We're going to do a throwback. We're going to go back to North Wilkesboro.
Take the check to the bank. $1 million, Kyle Larson. Are you pumped up for this?
I am. 75 years of NASCAR. That's pretty amazing.
The Coca-Cola 600 belongs to Ryan Blaney.
Oh, thank you guys so much. and holy cow.
Sonoma Raceway. Daniel Suarez is a NASCAR Cup winner.
For me, he's the closest he gets to Mexico. So, there were a lot of Mexicans there, a lot of support. And then we're going to go to a street course race for the first time in history of NASCAR. Chicago, yeah, downtown Chicago.
And then we got a brand new fan base that's younger, more diverse, that is really enjoying what's happening.
It was a video game move off into turn 3.
Chastain passed Hamlin.
That's wild.
Okay. It's user error. Try one more time. All right, so just like our community is changing and growing, NASCAR has had to account for change and an evolving landscape in our sport too. The new NASCAR reflects how we have adapted to change and grow our business for the future while maintaining core elements of what has made NASCAR successful for 75 years. NASCAR has seen incredible interest from fans seeking unique experiences. In turn, NASCAR has taken bold steps with its schedule to take the sport to new places. As we just saw in the video, racing at the LA Coliseum, and for the first time ever, NASCAR racing on a street course in the city of Chicago. And a quick reminder that all of those decisions were made just right up the road at the Speedway. Part of the effort in creating unique experiences is driven by the goal to reach new fans. Taking the races to new markets has allowed us to introduce NASCAR to audiences that may have otherwise never had the opportunity to see the thrills of a NASCAR race. We take pride in our events being family friendly. Kids 12 and under can attend our NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Truck Series races for free, inclusive of at Daytona International Speedway. And NASCAR has strengthened its commitment to diversity and inclusion across the industry, and enhanced D&I platform continues to carry the sport forward in this mission. The NASCAR Cup Series race car that you see on the track are newly introduced next-gen cars, which have been designed to lower costs for our teams, enhance the safety of our cars, and produce more competitive and exciting racing on the track. Driver star power is critical to our sport. Ross Chastain, the gentleman enjoying the watermelon in that slide, is a great example. So Ross is an 8th generation watermelon farmer from Lee County, Florida. And he has gone on to compete the highest levels of racing of NASCAR. New and notable partners. We wouldn't be here today without our incredible partners. Our world-class partners are uniquely integrated into our sport, and we value the opportunity for our sport to be part of their culture, identity, and strategy. As we continue to look to the future of NASCAR, I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to acknowledge where it all began right here in Daytona Beach. You know, NASCAR truly is a success story for Florida. And actually, there may be some in here that remember when ISB looked like this. So, it was back in 1958 when crews began clearing the 480-acre property to construct the Daytona International Speedway, becoming recognized as the world center of racing. But the work started years earlier when Bill France organized a meeting in 1947 at the Streamline Hotel just over the bridge to discuss the future of stock car auto racing, which ultimately led to NASCAR. The National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing was born. And the enthusiasm and support from the local community right here was instrumental in helping turn Bill Sr.'s vision for NASCAR and Daytona International Speedway into a reality. So here we are, 75 years later, and NASCAR continues to be owned by the France family today out of its corporate headquarters right here in Daytona Beach. Today, NASCAR has grown to sanction more than 1,200 races in more than 30 U.S. states, Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Brazil. In Florida alone, our sport has continued to reinvest and expand here to include NASCAR headquarters at the International Motorsports Center, Sebring Raceway, Homestead Miami Speedway, One Daytona, and Daytona International Speedway. Combined, NASCAR's presence in Florida produces over $1.7 billion in economic impact on local economies and the state of Florida, according to a study released by the Florida State University Center for Economic Forecasting and Analysis earlier this year. But back to Daytona, with some of the stats that we should all know and celebrate with our neighbors. How many of you know how big Daytona really is? It's big. The map here shows its scale. It's big enough to fit 15 other Florida sports stadiums on our infield alone. And that's not all. At Daytona International Speedway, we are particularly proud of the impact we have on our partners, with Forbes recognizing the Daytona 500 as one of the world's most valuable sports events and a global broadcast audience exceeding 500 million viewers annually. Our partners have an incredible opportunity to connect with fans through one of the most prestigious sporting events in the world. Of Fortune's Global 100 and 1 in 4 Fortune 500 companies invested in NASCAR today, the fan base continues to prove itself as the most passionate and loyal in all of sports. And here's something that we're really proud of. Fans attending our events come from all 50 U.S. states and more than 20 countries. 60% of these fans are visiting from outside of Florida. And over half of these visitors stay in Florida for over 5 days. For our visiting fans and partners, we have a really fantastic opportunity to showcase the incredible quality of life and opportunity that exists here in Daytona Beach and surrounding areas. And we give them a lot of reasons to visit and visit again and again. Events at Daytona International Speedway span the calendar, from IMSA and NASCAR races to Rockville, Florida's biggest rock music festival experience, the Turkey Rod Run, the Clash Endurance Triathlon, and Magical Lights. Daytona International Speedway remains active year-round. Our events this year were the largest ever, a sellout of the Daytona 500, and the largest ever outdoor rock music festival where over 160,000 fans attended in the course of over 4 days, and there's more on the horizon. I struggle saying this because the reality of how quick it's going to be here, but we're 109 days away from the Daytona 500, which is a very exciting thing. We're all still catching our breath as our team also runs Homestead Miami Speedway. So as we catch our breath, we're also very excited of what is on the horizon just around the corner with Daytona. So those are my prepared remarks and just kind of a few off-the-cuff things to chat about as we think about our future. Looking at this event calendar, I'll kind of reflect back to this year's Roar Before the Rolex. It's a huge event, testing for the Rolex 24. It's a great community event as well as for the Boy Scouts of America. The infield is packed with young boys and girls scouts camping all weekend long. They're out there earning badges, and then we jump into the Rolex 24. The Rolex 24 this past year was the 61st running. It was the largest Rolex 24 ever from an attendance standpoint, from a viewership standpoint. John Doonan, the president of IMSA, he's in a very unique spot as he's having to turn competitors away because we are out of pit stalls and we're out of garage space. So we anticipate the Rolex 24 to be even larger in 2024 than it was this year. One thing that I just think is fantastic and amazing about the IMSA product is it turns this community into a global destination. We're talking C-level executives from overseas, the likes of Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini. They're calling Daytona Beach home. The likes of Rolex, they're living here for a week plus, and they're taking in the action on the track as well as spending nights in our hotels and eating at our restaurants. Jumping into the Daytona 500, this year was special for a variety of reasons. For those of you who were there and had the treat of seeing the Thunderbirds do their flyover, and then they actually put on a special air show. A little fact about that is That was the first time ever that the Thunderbirds were able to do not just a flyover, but as well as an air show. They actually had to rewrite policy with the government in order to get that done. And the first time that it was done was right here in Daytona Beach. And the Thunderbird story actually goes back to the beaches of 1954, where they were doing an air show and there were a lot of birds on the beach and they had to scare them away. So their solo act actually was born in Daytona Beach, where they had to take a jet and go up the beach side to scare away the birds. So the Thunderbirds were actually in Orlando this past weekend doing an air show, and we were filming a bunch of content with them, as they're going to be excited to be back here in February. And specific to the Daytona 500, we announced a sellout in early January this year. We're going to be announcing a sellout much earlier than that. So for the local hotels and businesses, keep an eye on for those announcements coming up, as well as Rockville. I can't share the exact date. I'll just share that it's going to be very soon that Rockville will be announcing their lineup for 2024. So again, for the hotels and the businesses and the community, that's on the horizon. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars up the road. I know I get asked a lot about that. If you're paying attention in the media, the Jacksonville Jags and the city of Jacksonville are exploring a renovation of their stadium. They're trying to figure out if they're going to need to find a new home for 1 year or 2 years, maybe more, maybe less. But as they're ironing all of that out, we are top of mind with them and in the consideration set to be a potential home for the Jacksonville Jaguars down the road. So my goal is to be the tip of the sword of that, but bring that opportunity to the community and share what we all might need to do in order to win that business. But if the Jags decided to do something else as well, I feel it's my duty to make sure that the city is aware of what is going on. We actually had the Gator Bowl in our office a few weeks ago as well, looking at opportunities. So for 2024 and beyond, there's some big events that we're chasing, but I just am grateful for your opportunity to do a quick recap of 2023. We've got some fun events on the horizon for 2024, and hope to see you all at the track. So hope you have a great meeting, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Frank. Any questions? No questions? All right. Can't let you get away with any questions.
Okay, we are going to move on to item number 7, which is our citizen comments. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the city commission on any item on the consent agenda. My first speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Frederick Brown. Gonna give him a minute. Okay. Mr. Brown, if you want to come up first, and then, oh, never mind. He beat you to it.
Two things. I didn't get a chance to talk to David. Normally, he would answer these, but on the meters, 8I, we just put in or spent a great deal of money on a meter system where they just drive by. Is this a maintenance, basically, or are we gonna go out and do the whole 9 yards all over again? And secondly, on L, is this, manhole covers, is that to raise them, hopefully? Because what's happening now is when they pave, the manhole covers end up an inch or two below the surface, and you keep hitting them all the time. And there's one or two that are loose. When you go over, it goes flop, 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 flop. So those are the two things that I would like to discuss. Thank you.
You're right about that.
Our next speaker is Frederick Brown.
Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. Thank you, John, for those observations. I do appreciate them. And thank you to NASCAR for some of the other things that they've done in this community. I know they help fund some of the parks, especially on beachside. We do appreciate that. Two of the items I wanted to talk about today, item 8H, lift station 62. Now, being just a common citizen, I'm not privy to all the lines and who's connected to what. I did note that in the paperwork it said it only covers the south side, which is interesting because the lift station's on the north side of 400. So can anybody tell me if that station, and I don't know if Shannon is back there or not, is it servicing the area where the new Amazon building is? Because that's obviously the closest one to it. And is she not available, or can she answer that? Okay. Well, I would like to have an answer to that, because my concern was that that lift station, if it's servicing the Amazon, it certainly should be being helped with impact fees from the Amazon project. So I don't know where all the monies from that are coming or going to. Second thing is the easement on HJ at the Hyman water tank. Now, I don't know if you read these easements or you just rubber stamp, carte blanche, hope that staff did their job. But when you read that easement, it gives Florida Power the right to strip and kill and remove all trees at any time for eternity. Now, that's supposed to be an underground feed. I don't understand why we're giving them the right. If you read the easement, it's kind of a carte blanche rubber stamp thing that says, like you would with overhead lines. It also has some very nebulous clause in there that allows him to put equipment above ground. So my question is this, and I really hope that Daytona is pushing to put as many utilities underground as possible, especially since we're obviously prone to hurricane, wind damage, etc. It would seem prudent to bury as many utilities as we can. Now, according to this easement, it's supposed to be for underground feed to the generator and then connected to the pump station. Why are we giving them carte blanche for eternity to be able to strip everything above ground, including all trees, etc.? And I have a problem with that, because we really need to have as much vegetation there to absorb the noise from that pump station. And I know none of you probably have ever even been to one, but I can tell you they're a lot noisier than you think. And you also have another diesel generator out there, which also when they run, they're very noisy. So for the residents who are just a half block away from this, they're going to hear the roar and see the trees butchered. Thank you.
Okay. Those were my only two speakers for the consent agenda.
Excellent. All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Take a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Strickland. Do we have any additional questions or comments? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are in opposition, same sign. This motion carries 6-7-0.
We have no public hearings on the agenda tonight, so we're going to move on to item number 10, which is our administrative items. Item number 10A is a growth management, adoption of an ordinance amending the city's impact fee ordinance. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance amending the city ordinance number 06-263 relating to road, park, fire, EMS, police, and general government impact fees, providing clarification of certain terms and procedures, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the City Commission on this ordinance?
Nope.
Okay. The public hearing and final action will be November 15th. Moving on to item 10B, it's the Growth Management and Planning Department, First Amendment to the Sunglow Mini Storage PD. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance approving the First Amendment to the Sunglow Mini Storage Complex Plan District Agreement to replace the approved development plan for a self-storage mini storage complex, office uses, and covered RV parking, and to incorporate a two-lot preliminary plat for the subdivision, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the First Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this ordinance? Okay, the public hearing and final action will be November 15th. Moving on to item 10C, it's a Growth Management and Planning Department, GTI Oak Ridge Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is also an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance adopting a small scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with section 163.3187 Florida statutes, amending the future land use map designation of 1.0 plus or minus acres of property generally located on the north side of Oak Ridge Boulevard, State Road 430, between North Wild Olive Avenue and North Grandview Avenue, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. And are there any questions or comments from the commission on this ordinance on first reading? The public hearing and final action will be November 15th. Moving on to 10D, it's the Growth Management Planning Department GTI Oak Ridge BR2 rezoning. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 1.2 plus or minus acres of property generally located on the north side of Oak Ridge Boulevard, State Road 430, between North Wild Olive Avenue and North Grandview Avenue from residential professional RP to business retail 2 BR2, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date. And there are any questions or comments from the commission on this item? The public hearing and final action is set for November 15th. Moving on to item 10E, it's the Growth Management and Planning Department, Wall Graphics and Signage, Land Development Code Text Amendment. This is an introduction of an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance amending sections 6.10 and 11.5 of the Land Development Code to modify current restrictions on wall graphics by allowing permitted signage to be included within the wall graphic area, subject to conditions, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. Are there any questions or comments from the commission on this item? The public hearing and final action is set for November 15th. And with your permission, Mayor, I want to go ahead and take the Salary Review Committee item before we have the charter review discussion, if that's all right.
That's fine.
Okay. So the City Manager's Office, City Commission Salary Review Committee appointments, resolution. A resolution appointing a City Commission Salary Review Committee and providing an effective date. Ms. Betty Goodman to present.
Good evening. This agenda item is to appoint at least 5 members to the newly formed City Commission Salary Review Committee. We have received 6 applications: Steve Miller, Ruth Traeger, Marsha Hopkins, Robert Gilliland, Emily Nice, and David Butts. So what's your pleasure?
Do we vote for them individually, or all of them, or how do we?
Well, you need to appoint at least 5, but you have 6 applications. So
Yeah, if I may, it would seem to me to be that the easiest way to do this is to decide first if you want 5 or 6 members on your board. Keep in mind that if you have 6, you could have deadlocked votes. Once you've decided how many you want, then you would either, if you decide 6, Ms. Goodman's going to have to take like ballots, I think, right?
If you decide 5.
If they want 6, if 5 members, excuse me, 5
if
members.
you decide 5,
Yeah.
it would be a ballot.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a committee, I don't think, with 6 people. No, you want to have 5, in case they don't agree.
You ready?
So do they need to vote?
If the mayor believes that there's a consensus that the commission wants a 5-person committee, then unless.
Do we have opposition to that thought? Someone wants 6?
What's the reason?
What is the reason to have
Yeah.
6?
No, I'm saying, what's the reason to have 5 opposed to 6?
Because it's a board that they will have to vote. And if they have to vote and they don't agree, they could be
There's an odd number.
deadlocked. There's an odd number.
Tiebreaker.
It's just the
Okay.
way committees are usually run.
So how does it work now? We have to pick
vote for the
5?
5 that we want.
Yeah, she's going to pass out a ballot.
Okay.
Commissioner Henry.
And we need at least 2 commissioners, previous commissioners on the board.
Correct.
Yes.
She can just, can she text you her votes?
Thank you, buddy.
Is that legal? She texts them, and is this a public record, or call them in over the phone?
What I would suggest, Mayor, is that after you all hand Ms. Goodman the ballots, that Commissioner Henry just announce the 5 that she votes for.
Thank you.
And yes, you have to put your name on it. Commissioner Strickland?
Yeah, put your name on it.
Why y'all talking to me?
Because you asked last time.
You hungry? Derek would have bit me. I'd already eaten. I was eating 6 pieces and I ate 4. Yes, he did.
And before, so before Ms. Goodman reads out the other ballots, my recommendation is you ask Commissioner May who her 5 choices are.
Commissioner Henry.
Excuse me, Commissioner Henry.
Is what? Oh, okay.
Commissioner Henry.
Yeah. Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
do you want to tell us who your 5 choices are or the one that's not your choice? Either way.
Could you give me
do it.
could you give me the names again, please?
She needs the names again.
Oh, you need the names.
You want me
Don't
to
have your. name is not-
Steve Miller, Ruth Traeger, Marsha Hopkins, Robert Gilliland, Emily Nice, and David Butts. So 2 must be prior commissioners.
Everyone except Hopkins.
Okay. She wanted everyone but Hopkins.
She said everybody but
Yeah.
Ms. Hopkins? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
1 second.
Okay, Commissioner Paris is Gilliland, Miller, Nice, Traeger, and Butts. Commissioner Strickland, Gilliland, Hopkins, Miller, Traeger, and Butts. Commissioner May, Gilliland, Hopkins, Nice, Traeger, and Butts. Commissioner Cantu, Gilliland, Miller, Nice, Traeger, and Butts. Commissioner Reed, Gilliland, Hopkins, Miller, Nice, and Butts. Mayor Henry, Gilliland, Hopkins.
Hold on, baby.
Hold on, Ben.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Start mayors over again.
Did you, I thought the last one was Mayor Henry, was Gilliland,
Gilliland,
Hopkins,
Hopkins,
Miller,
Miller,
Nice.
Nice, and Traeger.
Okay. Oh, and Traeger, not Butts.
No.
Traeger.
Okay. Who? I think I missed it. Okay, but you have it? Okay.
Y'all usually tell them.
Okay, so we got
Marcia didn't make it.
7, 6, and 6. So it's Robert Gilliland, Steve Miller, Emily Nice, Ruth Traeger, and David Butts.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Parrish and a second from Commissioner Cantu. Do we have any questions or comments? All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
And Tish, there were no requests to speak on that item, correct?
No, there were not.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to move back to, I believe it was item 10H for the city charter review. Thank you. 10. Okay. So, as you know, in our charter, at least every 10 years, we have to do the charter review, and we have to appoint a charter review committee. So I've outlined usually how the charter review is made up. There are 7 members that y'all will appoint, and then you also will appoint 7 alternates. So in case that the main person can no longer serve, that alternate will be stepped in. So you'll be appointing 2 people, a primary and an alternate. And the goal is to bring back the appointment by January 3rd of 2024. At this point, the city is going to advertise for the charter review and get the word out for applicants. And I think Ben wants to go over some procedures with you and also to see if you guys have any questions about the process. This is new for some of you.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say first is that Tish is talking about the city's historical practice. The charter itself requires you to appoint a review commission of at least 7 members. It doesn't require you to appoint alternatives, but that's been the historical practice because it makes, I think, in the view of past commissions, good sense to do that. So
I think that was passed by an ordinance that they did the alternate.
I didn't see that ordinance. The charter provides that at least 7 people shall be appointed in accordance with the ordinance establishing the CRC. So you'd be establishing it when the time comes. And in order to meet the charter timing requirements, the Charter Review Commission has to appoint its findings to the City Commission at least 3 months prior to the next municipal election. They report their findings to the City Commission. Most proposed charter amendments would, even if you were to approve them, you'd be approving them to go on a voter initiative referendum. There are a subset of charter amendments typically dealing with things like employment type issues that under state law could be approved by ordinance without that referendum. That'll be something that when and if you get recommendations from the Charter Review Commission, I'll go over the specific proposals with you to tell you what would need referendum and what doesn't.
So the goal is to go ahead and make the appointment January 3rd, and then within 30 days of that, they have to have their first meeting, so.
What if we missed it by January 3rd? Do we still have time?
You still have time.
Okay, as long as we have enough time to get it done. January 3rd is good. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and advertise for that. Do you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
They have to be residents of the city of Daytona Beach and registered voters?
Right.
Correct. Electors, so
Good.
they shall be residents and registered electors of the zone of the city commissioners. So you're gonna be appointing people from your zone.
Only one from each zone? Okay.
Well, if you want to do the alternate process, you can appoint 7 main people and then 7 alternates. The last charter review we did, they had the 7 main appointees and then the alternate.
Some dropped out.
Yeah.
Who dropped out?
Some of the members originally.
How long is the process? How long is the process?
Well, in order to have the ballot language for the referendum, we predict that having the CRC present the final report to the City Commission in June, the beginning of June of this year, and then the City Commission will have a workshop and 2 meetings to approve the language for it to come back on the referendum. And then it will be a referendum. That language is due to the Supervisor of Elections by August 20th of 2024. So in order for it to be on the November ballot. So we can have as many or as little meetings as you want. We usually plan for more meetings. And at least 3 town hall meetings, one at the Cherry Center, one at the Bond Scholar Golden, and one at the Peabody. So we can get more input from the citizens.
What's the application process? Is it a resume or
No,
will it be
it's
one of
just
the
the
board?
regular application that
Just
we
okay.
typically do.
And you said that'll be up online?
Yes, they can use the existing board application that's
The
online.
existing? Okay, thank you.
Is the police department in zone 5 or zone 4? Which zone is it in now?
On Valor, I'm not sure. I think
I'm just asking a question. That's all. What you
It
throwing
was in my zone, but I believe it is in Commissioner Henry's now.
I think it's Henry's.
I think it's
Yes.
Henry's.
It's in 5, I believe.
Yeah.
I started at Williamson and Dunn.
And the Cherry Center is in zone
6.
6?
And then.
I think we should have the community meeting instead of at the Scarlett Golden Center. It should be at the police department.
Okay.
And the only issue with the police department that they have to go through the secure ID and all that. Some people don't like doing that to go up to their community room because they have to see just.
The reason that I say that is because there's so many people out there and it's on the edge. There's a lot of people that can get there, and it's just for logistics to cover the whole city.
Thank you.
And I think it's a fair thing.
I agree.
Put it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make that part of the.
Okay. It doesn't mean if you have another one, you can't go back to that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Couldn't we do it, depending on how many meetings they have, couldn't we do it in a, say, a different zone each time?
Yeah.
Or a different place in town?
Well, you're talking about community meetings, right? You have 3 community meetings.
Right.
They can meet, the committee can meet.
Right.
As much as they want. But
Here.
Yeah. And here, yeah. So I just think you just need to spread it out across the city as much as you can to meet as many people
Okay.
as possible. Okay? All right?
All right.
Any other commentary or questions?
All right, we'll get
Okay.
that process started.
All right, that concludes our business.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to say yay or nay on the alternates? Are we in agreement to have an alternate?
Yeah, are we, is there anyone?
I'm
who's
okay with that.
opposed to
I'm not
having an
opposed to
alternate?
it.
We had an alternate the last time.
Right.
It worked out because we did have people who dropped out.
Okay.
I'm in agreement.
We'll bring that back when we do the appointment to appoint.
All right. Okay, we will start tonight. Commission comments, Commissioner Harris, Zone 1.
I just want to congratulate the trunk or treat yesterday. I heard it was a big success and all the kids were really happy and they got a lot of candy. So thank you, Commissioner Cantu, the staff, and everybody else that came. Sorry I couldn't make it next time. And I just came back from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I brought back a lot of ideas that maybe I want to work with Jeff to see if we could get some different tourism aspects to Beachside and the neighborhood too. It was beautiful. And I don't have that much for today, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great.
I only have one thing. I want to designate $5,000 to the Witness facility at Heinemann and Madison.
Say that again.
Witnessed.
Right. So Heinemann and Madison. Paula Reed gives money to them.
And Commissioner Henry gave it last month.
Okay.
Women in transition now.
Okay.
Helps,
Okay, it's an acronym.
Okay.
helps women who are domestic,
Right.
single women, domestically abused,
Right.
single women, that sort of stuff. Very good organization.
Is that Bike Week funds or ARPA funds?
ARPA.
ARPA, okay.
And we'll bring that back next meeting for the commission vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Obviously, my donation's not contagious tonight.
Well, they've already, you're following the contagion.
I know. I'm following Paula this time, but I can't let her get ahead of me. She gave him $5,000 too.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious about the historic museum you were thinking about. Are you still thinking along those lines, the Black Museum, and then any ideas coming to you yet? Location or size even?
Well, I would love to do it, but it is a Herculean effort. And there's just a lot of different challenges to doing it, including financial, who would manage it. And I don't know that we have the community infrastructure in place to do it at this time. So do you have any idea?
Well, it's interesting. You know, when I went to Kansas City, they had the Black Negro League, Baseball League, League of Fame. They had that there. I went, there was Vine and 18th. I went there specifically to see, like, what does it take? What does it look like? What's the infrastructure around it? That was one approach. It was pretty impressive, right? Pretty nice. There are some other approaches, though. There are some smaller buildings. So it just depends on what your vision is in terms of size. If your vision is really large, then maybe it's a church, right? But if your vision is a little bit more contained, it could be a historic home that we have that maybe we're not using, or a house that is historic, and an older building that we have that we could put memorabilia inside of it, and it's easier to manage. That's just a thought. So I'm going to go visit a few of them in smaller towns, right, like much smaller than ours, but it tends to be a very simple structure that was built in that time, and then they've just managed to put whatever they can put at that time. So if it's a smaller structure, possibly it means that we can rotate out memorabilia, so it's not the same things for 20 years, if it's smaller. But at least it's something that would get your vision moving versus waiting to build or wait for just a thought, a really, really big structure. Just a thought.
Just in piggybacking on the thought, it's not so much as my concern about the size or the location of the structure, it's the organization that would run it. You know, and ideally, you know, in the meetings that I had, the lone couple meetings, ideally it would be run by the library system. That is ideal, because you have to have manpower to curate and organize and to open, and that's not something that I think that the city is designed, equipped to do, and nor should we necessarily ask for it to do that. So, but I do like the thought of thinking outside of the box in terms of location, and I'll begin to revisit it in my mind, and maybe we can come back and talk about it, and if others have thoughts of interest in it, if we can find a way.
So my intent is to visit some other cities, which I have been doing, and kind of put together like a best practice model of different, just how they're all running them as smaller museums, but they definitely have them, right? So, I mean, I appreciate the concept. And then I'm still working through some final pieces of the other tourism things that I'm sort of thinking about for the local area. So I'll be ready to present something soon. Thank you.
Great. And if you have a chance, visit or look at the one in Fort Lauderdale. Theirs is run through the library system. Okay.
I just have a question about that. Have we ever asked, like, the Museum of Art and Science to see if we could work with them to do something?
I haven't asked them, and I don't know that I think it a seamless marriage, because what I'm thinking, and it, you know, and it's not to divide us, but history is, we have a unique African American history in this community, so I haven't asked them, but that was my thought, was that it would be a museum that was dedicated to the presence and the history of African Americans in this community, because it's really been a pronounced history. But I haven't spoken with the museum and never thought of it. But I am of the mindset that we should consider any reasonable option, and I don't think that that's unreasonable to think about it. So, okay. So I'll be looking forward to hearing your report, and I'll let my brain begin to rub that way again. Okay. Commissioner Cantu?
Yeah, I just have one thing. I just want to say thank you to the staff. They were incredible. They did an amazing job with the trunk or treat, leisure service, Miss Betty Goodman. And actually, I had second thoughts about moving it to City Island, but it was great.
Yeah.
A great turnout. So thank you to everyone.
If I might add, you just have to adjust and grow events, and you couldn't have been a better location because of the space and just the parking. It was but I just don't know. It's huge.
We at least had a couple thousand. This is our third year, and it just gets bigger and bigger. Children, we even had Mr. Nicholson over there running around to trunks and making sure they're supplied with candy. Thank you. So, yes.
Yeah, it was huge and awesome. Commissioner Henry?
Yes. Hi, just one comment, and that is the book vending machine for Cherokee that Commissioner Reed so nicely and greatly gave to. The librarian asked, she said that they went to order the book vending machines and the book vending machines have gone up by 1,000. Put out a feeler to to the new commissioner and see if she would be willing to partner to give that additional $1,000, or if Commissioner Reed wanted to, because it was her project, to give that additional $1,000 so that they could finally get to order their book vending machine.
I got it.
Which school?
Turity.
Turity?
Turity.
Oh, okay.
You got it?
Yes, I'll do it. It was my last initiative in Zone 6 when it was.
I figured, yeah, and I said Commissioner Reed may want to because it's her big project, and so you could finish it out. So I'll let her know, or if you could just let her know that you got it.
Okay.
And then that's all my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Great. Great.
As a native Daytonian, the change in this redistricting still compels me to want to do things. So Commissioner May, we'll be partnering on some things because I've lived in that area that I lost all of my life. So that's why I'm saying I will take care of that book machine. But to go back to the conversation that you and the mayor were having in regards to the African American Museum, that too is something of interest to me. In fact, I've found a place. It may not be the right place, but it's a place that I have been looking at. I'm not prepared to share that at this time, and until we actually have someone that's willing to also monitor it and we can pull it all together. We're still vetting this place, but I think it would be an excellent location for us to consider, something to think about. I am ready to put in there my report card that said when I left integration and went to or segregation and went to integration. I still have my report card with my little rusty staple that said I was to leave Campbell Elementary and go to Longstreet Elementary. So I'm looking forward to putting that in.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Did you say it's a long time ago?
Did he say that's a long time ago?
That's what he said.
And I'm still here.
Yeah, I don't think I was here then when that happened. So
As Mama would say, just keep on living.
That's right. So she's right. Okay.
It's you.
Oh, you've already gone? Yeah, that's right. You didn't. Okay. We discussed last meeting about linkage fees, and I think, can Jim come out and if he's gone, that's okay. Here's my concern with this, and I need us to make sure that we address this.
I think he's coming. He's here, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, good. Come on up. When we, what we agreed upon last time was to have a consultant, basically to help us to formulate a plan of action. Would they also be helping us? My understanding is of what type of affordable housing we need, or did we decide that?
You didn't decide it. The materials that I'd given to you, I talked about different types and kind of sectorizing things because there are different levels, and taking a look at what the commission thought, and also evaluating what needs are currently met more completely, which I think is probably at the subsidized level, versus ones that may not be met so completely, which is more on the order of workforce. And I think workforce is a misleading term. And excuse me, I should have said I'm Jim Morris, Deputy City Manager. The workforce is just an upper sector in the affordable housing scheme of ratio of income and ability to buy housing or afford housing. And so from the perspective of the commission having a policy input as to how it's focused, that was the intention of mentioning that, so the commission could give perhaps a little bit more specific direction regarding the focus, if you thought it was appropriate. If you didn't think so, that's really, I see our job is trying to tell you or give you the tools that you think you want, then you tell us how you want to use them. So that was the object, was to lay that out as a part of the consideration in terms of that particular reference.
Okay, good. Here's what I think we have to have some sort of discussion on, is that, okay, if we have linkage fees, it gives us a pot of money, and we can use that pot of money to create housing opportunities for people who live in Daytona Beach. That's the big picture. I don't think that we should narrow that down at this time to say we need 1,000 houses or units for people who earn under 40,000, or 500 for people who earn over 70,000. I think that right now we just leave that open to the commission for the future commissions to decide, because here's my concern. One, I do want us to be able to create housing for teachers and firefighters and policemen to be able to live in Daytona Beach. But I want to make certain that we do not limit our ability to provide housing for people who are going to work at the new Amazon facility. You know, it doesn't matter what the job is, because the job is the job, and if they live in Daytona Beach, we want to be able to formulate a policy that says that we're doing something to help them. Is that something that we agree to? That's what we want to do, because I don't know that we stated that, but it's that's something I believe that we should be an aim, should be an objective. It doesn't matter if I work making $15 or $30, we want to be able to create some form of housing across a broad spectrum that we don't have to decide today what that is. Are we in agreement on that is my question. Or is there a broad spectrum? So it means that we may fund this project that works towards people who make $60,000, because even if you make $60,000 right now and you got a family of 4, you're not going to hardly be able to buy a house. It's just the bottom line. So my point is, it needs to go across spectrums. Yes.
The intention was to have broad scope so that you could choose. So you began, the full scope was the intention of it. And also, the presumption that I have is that the nexus fee by itself won't be nearly enough to do what I think the commission wants to do. That's why the tool set laid out was much broader than just a nexus fee.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there, does everybody follow what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yes, no, I'm in agreement after what you just said.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And really my thing is, I don't want to pigeonhole us or future commissions to be able to make decisions because of some decision we made now. Okay, so whatever we bring back, let's make sure it's.
And whatever it would be flexible anyhow. It's always policy and directed by the commission. The last thing that staff would try to do is pin you into a spot, because the times change, focuses change, and I've been able to see things for a long time. I know you don't need to be locked into one position, because then you often wind up not being able to do what you want to do or need to do.
Precisely. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sir.
Okay, and at the last meeting, I discussed, you know, this idea of having children, students, to read books and then from the book fair to show us what they did. I didn't get as much participation as I would like, so we're going to just keep it going until I get the level that I want, and I will just keep blasting it out and doing what I can to get more children engaged in reading, and I want to encourage everyone across the community to do the same. We have a video that I would like to show of a young man who came and what his experience was. Could you show that video?
Elementary in Port Orange, Florida. I attended the book giveaway on October 7th. I got several books such as The Hill We Climb, The Seed of Compassion, Change Sings, The Undefeated, Superheroes Are Everywhere, The Whiz Kid, Black Panther Spellbound, and Tristan Strong, and Good Night Racism. I would like to tell you about the book Good Night Racism. The way it impacted me was it talks about how it can make the world better place for all kids, even if they are black, mixed, or white. If you matter. If someone is mistreating you, speak up to a safe adult, and they will help you. There is more we can do to make the United States more united. That's a summary of the book Good Night Racism.
All right, good job. Okay, that young man will receive a gift card of $50. And so what the goal is to promote literacy from people who came, children who came, and we want to promote literacy. And I'm going to do other things, try to go out and get restaurants to engage by having books available for children to read. If we had books left over, that was going to be one of the things that I was going to do with the books, is to take them to restaurants and ask them to have a bookshelf to allow children to come in and read. One of the things that I do at my school is, and always have, is I give positive behavior points for kids who are reading in the media center. I'm not in the media center, but in the cafeteria when they're eating. So if I see a kid eating, I give them points. So we have to find ways to reward reading as a sort of a community virtue, a community value. And we have, I think, 3 schools that have given us the names of 8 children who will soon have a limousine ride to a restaurant to eat and receive rewards because they have made AB honor roll at one of the 8 schools in our city, not named Seabreeze and not named Mainland, meaning the middle and elementary schools. So we're just going to try to keep this energy alive and moving forward. And I believe that is it for me. Mr. Manager, do you have anything?
Just 2 items. I'm surprised you didn't say anything to Commissioner Reed about the battle for the beach that Mainland took over on Seabreeze the other night.
You know, when you do something 13 times in a row, it just kind of becomes an expectation. So after 13 times, I figure I'll just be quiet, and so should she. Okay, there we go.
I can't believe the manager's trying to start something he can't finish.
There we have.
Yeah. Well, real quick, Commissioner Cantu has been working on our Live Local Act, and she's been asked to communicate and work with the city manager of DeBerry. He's been trying to look at some things, and so we're going to be sending more information to you because she may be traveling because it affects our community in regards to affordable housing. And so we're going to be getting some information together. And I just wanted the city manager of DeBerry is going to be talking to his commissioner. So I wanted you all to know that he called me and was getting information with Commissioner Cantu. So we'll let you know the dates, but we need to be mindful of what's taking place in Tallahassee in reference to the Live Local Act and how it affects us. And I just don't want you all to think that if you see me or Commissioner Cantu on something that we haven't talked to you all about that Live Local Act or the information. So we'll be bringing some more information to you, how we deal with it and how it affects our community.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Grove?
I have nothing.
Okay, this concludes our our commission meeting and the commission comments. At this time, we will hear from the residents of Daytona Beach.
Okay, our first speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is William Bidorf.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. With regard to the Black History Museum, there's one in New Smyrna Beach, there's one in the Land. Perhaps the 3 of them could get together and either have one person oversee all 3 of them or learn from each other. So that's a possibility. Secondly, I went to Starbucks opening on A1A at the Hilton. I noticed that during the discussion, someone brought up that there was a paper out that the Ocean Center is now at capacity. They need to expand. Years ago, when they did the expansion, they put part of a walkover. So I'm asking you to consider working with the county, the hotel, using either CRA funds, city funds, whatever, to help pay for a walkover, because technically the Hilton is not the convention hotel. They must be joined in order to do that. If they are joined, they get to be in another bracket. So if they expand, they go up one more bracket. If they get the crossover, they get another bracket up. So it would be to our advantage if we help put a walkover from the Ocean Center to the Hilton. Secondly, City Island. I was at City Island last night. The generator was noisy. It smelled terrible. We've put electrical next to the Jackie Robinson Ballpark. We put electrical on Magnolia. We don't have electrical in that field. The city manager was talking about using that mobile seating and whatnot, or stage in that area. It would need electrical. So I'm asking you to consider putting electrical on City Island in your discussion. Tall and narrow popped up on thank God, they okayed the Silver Beach Hotel. It was wide, they narrowed it. 20 years ago, we talked about, we preferred tall and narrow. If you look at the beach side, downtown beach side is congested. If you look to the north, Island Crown, et cetera, are wide. They're tall and narrow with a lot of space in between it. I think we need discussion on that so that we don't have these people coming back to us with really 300-foot wide buildings, 20 stories high. It's just way too massive. Tall and narrow is the way to go. I realize, do you know we have 8 major events in our city of 100,000 plus? There was a balloon festival in Arizona. They had 60,000 people and they thought it was great. We have 8 festivals of 100,000 plus. That's massive. But actually used to always say that we have 5 Super Bowls. Now we have 8 Super Bowls. Okay? And I was going to mention about October 7th. There was something that happened on October 7th, but I can't remember what it was.
All right.
Okay, our next speaker is William Biddorf, and on deck is Jenny Nazak.
Why didn't he sign up for that committee? Huh? He should have got on there and drove y'all crazy.
Well, I hope everybody have a happy Halloween, because it was good for me. One thing is I'm glad to see that I think it's 10G finally has come up there, and hopefully you guys get a raise, and ladies and gentlemen, because I think you deserve it. 2 is I just want to do some positive stuff on Beachside, so I'm going to be probably a pain in the neck in the next couple of things, bringing some things up, and need your advice. And I just greatly appreciate you all. I stayed late today because the one thing I think, as you know, being on a board myself, is the sacrifice that you all make to be here late and listen to us after the meetings. And I greatly appreciate you all. And I hope you all have a great night, and thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is Jenny Nazak, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jenny Nazak at 501 Harvey, and I'm being joined by board members of the Beachside Neighborhood Watch. So this is a resolution on greening the beachside. At a recent meeting of BNW, members unanimously voted on this resolution. BNW requests that the city and the county discontinue the use of non-functional turf grass on all their property on the beachside. Non-functional turf grass is turf grass that's not meant for foot traffic. For example, median strips and the edges of parking lots. Non-functional turf grass will die a natural death in the absence of chemicals and irrigation. Beach wildflowers would sprout up amidst the dead grass, or tall coastal grasses and other native plants could be planted. The new growth should require no mowing, edging, irrigation, or chemicals. BNW also requests that the city revisit landscaping requirements on commercial beachside properties. Too often, required landscaping is more intrusive and less attractive than using native beachside plants that will thrive naturally. These new styles of growth would conserve water, enhance the stormwater sponge, reduce pollution of our waterways, reduce noise pollution and fumes, and support beach wildlife. The more natural aesthetic would showcase the authentic beauty of our beach environment for tourists and residents alike, and it would save money, allowing resources to be redirected to urgent citywide heat mitigation needs, such as planting trees. Our hope is that the city's example will motivate many private homeowners and business owners to reduce or eliminate non-functional turf grass and use of non-native plants on their beachside properties. By taking care of our beachside in this way, Daytona Beach would become a progressive actor in the nationwide movement to promote the distinctive natural vegetation of each region. We could help move the needle in a more beautiful and healthy direction. Thank you very much.
Do we already have areas where this unnatural turf is.
We have
Supporting-
areas where there's non-functional turf grass. We have median strips that are irrigated and sprayed with chemicals, and that they're not meant for people to walk on. People are actually not supposed to walk there. And a more appropriate choice right near the ocean would be the taller grasses and beach things that grow. So we're wanting people to have the feeling, hey, we're at the beach.
So the reason that we put them there is because we think that they're more aesthetically appealing?
Aesthetically appealing, water saving, money saving,
No.
less noise.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking that we use these intrusive, unnatural resources because we think they look better.
I think, there is a cultural norm that over the decades has evolved that turf grass is beautiful, no matter where. And that's just got taken root, no pun intended, in our culture very pervasively. And if you go to the Grand Canyon, you're going to see a canyon and you're going to see red rocks. If you go to the desert, you're going to see sand and cactus. If you come to the beach, it's a slightly different environment than on the mainland, and there are different types of vegetation that like to thrive over in that salty, very windy environment. But it's the norms. There is a trend right now around the country to go to more natural landscaping. Cities are doing it for different reasons, to save money, to save water, and so on. Now, aesthetically, everybody's going to be to each his own. People are going to have their aesthetic preferences, but the thought behind this is that a public entity like a city or municipality shouldn't be voting for an aesthetic that is not good for the environment and also doesn't promote the natural distinctive beauty of its region.
I want to be on record as saying that appeals to my sensibilities and belief, just hearing it, not necessarily knowing it or researching it. I'm sure as you have, just hearing what you're saying appeals to my agreement. So I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but it appeals to me.
I concur.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Always good.
Our next speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is Jared, is it Hoffpower, I believe?
Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. Once again, I'm going to remind you, we dodged a major bullet so far this year in terms of flooding. The city did some right things, and they continue to sit on their hands on some other things. It's imperative that we get involved in this. There's a county-wide meeting, and I haven't been able to figure out where it is because it wasn't publicly announced, but it's a subcommittee of the roundtable, and I believe we have a city representative on the Volusia County roundtable. Is that correct?
She sits in for me when I'm not there, which is most of the time.
Okay. Well, their next meeting is going to be on November 13th, and I hope to be there, and I hope other concerned citizens are as well. I would certainly like to see community involvement of all the major cities that are affected by the floods. We need to do something. We can't continue to say we're going to wait on Army Corps of Engineers again, because we already tried that 13 years ago, and nothing happened except more people got flooded. So we need to keep that on the forefront and not forget about it. Upcoming, a very important event we talked about tonight, the city charter. One of the problems of the community of 82,000 people that we now have here, if you asked 81,900 and some of them, they probably have no clue what the city charter is about. I think it's very important that we start an educational program. I would like to see the city pursue an educational video, perhaps break it down into sections that, instead of trying to bury you with too much information all at once, but try to do a presentation on the different sections of city charter. Among other things, the presentation that was just made by BNW, and I was at that meeting where it was approved, is a good idea. And where best to present that than in the city charter? There are several things in that charter which the city should be following, and I think more citizens need to be aware of what is in that charter. And that's why I see this upcoming review as an extremely important milestone, not just a nuisance that we got to get behind it. So I would like to see the city continue to educate the citizens, do presentations as well as videos that they can educate the public on, so that they're more aware of what is in the charter, perhaps some of the things that might need to be addressed, and then also when we select our representatives, that they be notified. That kind of information can be put out at the community centers, and that information should be also on the website, easy to read and easy to find. Thank you very much.
Our next,
One quick thing. Thank you very much, Ken, for getting an appointee for Parks and Rec.
our next speaker is Jared Hoffpower, and on deck is Ruth Traeger.
Hello, my name is Jared Hoffpower, 508 Rybalt. So really, I came up here to speak tonight to support the resolution from B&W, and it's a great proposal. It begins to make our beachside look more beachside, and I think that's always good. Not only that, but it does save us a lot of money. It is a natural solution. What we spend on irrigation and having private companies do pest control, weed control, and that's all chemically sprayed. It's very expensive, no matter what you do with it. But so it'll save money and it'll look great. So it seems like a good way to go. Hopefully we see some next steps with that. Wanted to ask also about Lenox Park. There was some things that we had heard were going to go on. We just haven't really seen much. Hopefully that gets going. I guess we just haven't really, like, we heard about some shade sales. Maybe that's coming soon. I'm not really positive, but we sure would like to see that. And then as a quick note for in front of Lenox Park, every morning if you're there, right about 7:30, there's about 20 kids like sitting on the curb waiting for their bus. And I don't know why they actually sit there so long. Some of them show up 15, 20 minutes early, but they're eager to go to school, getting on their bus, but there's a lot of them sitting on the curb. It'd be lovely if we can incorporate some benches in that. And I know that that hasn't been discussed, but that is something that I've noticed, that every morning at about 7:30, there's a bunch of kids out there. Just a couple simple benches, maybe. I don't know. That would be easy enough. Keep the kids off the curb.
Is that the park? Is it part of the park?
It's part of. I mean, they sit on the curb in front of the park, but the park is like, it goes right up to the road where they all sit on the curb, and it would be so it'd be the street, but it'd be and then sidewalk, and then the park itself, and maybe some benches right there.
What time is that when they show up there?
Right around 7:30, 7:25 to 7:35.
The reason they're there is they'd rather be there than be home with their parents.
I think so. It'd be nice to get them off the curb, maybe, but I don't know. We don't do a whole lot of those bus stops and things around here, from what I see, but it's kind of nice. Last little quick thing is, you guys talked about affordable housing. I'm blessed to own my own house here in Daytona Beach. It's been the greatest purchase I've ever made. And I've had a couple houses here and there, but this has been my favorite. I would also love to see, don't stop at just having affordable housing and having someone buy a house. Make Daytona Beach a place that's affordable to live here too, and have that be part of that affordable housing. People's circumstances change. They may buy a house and then struggle to keep it. So Daytona Beach could be a place that is easy to come here and own that home, and to actually easy to live here. I think there's some things that could be brought up alongside of the affordable housing ideas that you guys have, and keep people here as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Ruth Traeger, and on deck is Ann Ruby.
Ruth Traeger, 610 Bostwick Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida. I want to thank everyone who voted to appoint me to the salary review. We all know that was salary 20 years ago. Might have been good, is woefully inadequate at this time. And if we want to get good people, we have to be able to that they can afford to serve, because this is not what they say, a part-time job. As all of you know, And the population has grown over 20,000 since, maybe just the past 5 or 10 years. So I applaud you all, because I know what a hard job it is, and I know how much time it takes. And so many of you have other jobs besides. Y'all are amazing. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ann Ruby, and on deck is Marjorie Johnson.
In Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. First of all, I took out all the turf grass in my yard and replaced everything with native plants, and it browns out in the winter, looks terrible, and now it's exuberant and green and wonderful. So 137 Park Avenue, if you want to drive by and see what it looks like. We had this is a very short meeting tonight. It's great. We had a very long planning board meeting discussing that Silver Beach condo project. And one of the things that was confusing to every member who was up there was the use, they were being told, I'm not sure if they were being told this or they didn't understand it, but that they couldn't vote no. Clearly one planning board member said he couldn't vote no, that he had to approve it because it was a site plan. And it wasn't a site plan. It was a planned development. And they were told that the building could go exuberantly high if they used average setbacks, and that use of average setbacks would result with a lawsuit. But the impression they were left with was they needed to approve it or it could be much worse. So I'm asking two things. Can we please find out preemptively what the height limit would be allowed by the FAA for that site? Because I don't think it's much taller than the 265 they're supporting right now. And what can we do to get this average setback stuff out of our codes or our rules? Because it's clearly something that could tie our hands in the future and end up in a lawsuit. So I'm really hoping that somehow we can get that cleared up. And maybe it is cleared up, but I don't know. So I'm just asking that get followed through on, please. I have two announcements. B&W is meeting tomorrow at 6:30. We're going to have Jessica Fentress from the county talking about coastal erosion and stability. So if you'd like to come and learn about that, we talk about how the beach is our biggest asset. We don't want to see it all wash back into the ocean, so it might be good to come learn a little bit about it. The other thing is that Citizens for Responsible Development is hosting an open house with the owner of the Oceano Suites Hotel at 1055 North Atlantic. That will be Monday, 11/6 from 6 to 7 p.m. We were, at that meeting, we're told, but the Silver Beach meeting, we have to have more hotel rooms. But this is a big project. Silver Beach is going to be years out in the making. This would be, there are so many little motels along A1A that could be converted now quickly and renovated to be beautiful and nice and serve our tourists. So I invite you to come and see what they've done there. Thank you.
I want to just say I appreciate it when residents come to the mic and make announcements about things in the community. It really helps us, just spreading the word.
Our next speaker is Marjorie Johnson, and on deck is Steve Miller.
Marjorie Johnson, 122 South Key Street. There is a need for all elected officials to be accessible to the residents that are paying your salary. We don't have that in Zone 6. We don't have access to our city manager or our mayor. I think this is a disgrace. I do have a couple of commissioners I could call on, Ken Strickland and Monica, who's doing a fine job, and they answer my question. So, and I would like to say to all of you, you're here to do the people's work. I've got up in the past and spoke about this. A lot of you are up for re-election, and we should not be electing people to sit here and get a free paycheck that's not doing their work. It's a disgrace because we never had this problem in the past. Glenn, Ricky, Margie, you need anything? City manager, same thing. Always had an open door policy. And that's what we would like to have here in our city. And so I say to all of you tonight, this is a big problem and it needs to be corrected. Also, I am concerned about, we had a substation over here and they have one on the B side where we could make police complaints, and the old highway patrol, they closed it down. They should have left it open. The previous police chief got that done. We need a substation here because Daytona has been listed as the highest crime place in the whole world. It's been announced on the TV and everywhere. So we need that station over there, and we need to get it open. There are parking city vehicles over there. But that's what needs to be done about that. We need to get it back. Also, I'm concerned about this flooding problem. It's terrible. One of my friends, Eloise Brown and Robert Brown, had to move out of their house, and that street, Hudson Street, has been flooded for years. And when I spoke about it the last meeting, I heard Commissioner Cantu said something about the Corps of Engineers. But we know about the Corps of Engineers. They've been around for a long time, but the problem has not been resolved. But I didn't like all the controversy at the last meeting about this book giveaway. It was really out of hand. And there was a big write-up in the news journal about it. And Stacy Cantu opened up her shirt and showed her this Santa shirt. This is not a political arena here. We're here to do your work. You're getting paid a salary. We do not want controversy because we're giving a book giveaway. I'm on the library board. You need to go up there and fix that lot. It's full of holes. Make it happen.
Okay. Our next speaker is Steve Miller, and on deck is Kim Mount.
Steve Miller, 383 Walnut Street. I just have one item. Midtown Cafe. They've been going through the planning process for seem like 2 years to me right now. And I think I talked with her today, and she said that they're going to have to go through another 4th round. And it's $300 to do that. And she's saying her finances are really shot out. And I was thinking that the Midtown, when we was doing permits, they was going to waive the fee. And that was my comment. And Mr. City Manager, that's a lot of hair around your face there. It looks great. I wish I could grow one. And that's my comments for the night. And by the way, thank you very much for appointing me to the commission board to make sure you guys get paid adequately. I truly think that the job truly should be paid a lot more than what you all are getting because it's truly a full-time job instead of a part-time job.
Our final speaker tonight is Kim Mount.
Good evening. Kimberly Mount, Daytona Beach, Florida. It's always an honor to come here before the commission to speak to each and every one of you. Not feeling well, but it was so important to come. I had to be here. You guys work so hard. And every meeting, I will make sure that I always give you your flowers for that because that's not an easy job that you have. I know most of you, Paula, both Derek's, Monica, Ken, has supported me in many events, and I thank each and every one of you for that. The last meeting was an epic debacle. And I have known you, Stacy, Cantu. I can't even look at you because I'm so upset with your behavior. We've known each other since the 80s. 1982, Bojangles Chicken and Biscuits, when you were homeless and you lived in the kitchen. Yet you come in this house, City Hall, and in a position that you are in a nonpartisan role and wear a shirt before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting, proudly displayed your shirt and took off your jacket. You should be removed from your seat for what you did. This is not the place. There's a time and place for everything.
Hold your finger down, so you
My apologies, sir.
address all of us too.
Yes. I would like an investigation to find out if she can be removed for that behavior. Because everyone comes here with the purpose of being professional. And that professionalism includes making sure that everyone is sitting here in the seat while the public is speaking and not going to the bathroom. It's not calling your colleagues a liar. That is so inappropriate. Honor and respect is due to everyone. And yes, you're looking at the time, and I have plenty of it. Calling people liars in meetings that are your colleagues is not professional. This is not the place for it. You are here to do the people's work. If you call a meeting, you don't bully your colleagues and say, you had a meeting, but you called the meeting. Take your job seriously. This position is paid. And when you are being paid to do the people's work, it is your responsibility to represent and represent well, whether it's here in these chambers. And in these chambers, we depend on you to support each and every one of us with respect.
That was our final speaker this evening, Mr. Mayor.
And wait, I'm not done. I'm not going to address you, but I checked before I put that DeSantis shirt on, so please check with the state. And with your homeless thing, you're totally out of line because that is not correct. My mother raised 5 of us, and when I was working at Bojangles, we were living in Palmetto over there in those apartments, so gotcha. And another thing I wanted, Ben, thank you, to say something about the setbacks on the beach side, if you don't mind.
I could do that if the commission likes, or I could send you out a memo just generally describing how the setbacks work.
Send us a memo in
east-
writing,
East
please.
of A1A. I'm sorry?
Said send us a memo in writing, please.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was 260, and they were just asking for 65, and we don't have height.
Well, let me just say that the Silver Beach item is coming to you. It's a quasi-judicial item. Whatever I send out will not be dealing with that specifically because you need to make your decision based on the evidence presented, but I will give you a general overview of the way the height and setback rules work on beachside.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Okay, do that. Thank you. Good night, Daytona Beach.
All right.